I'm Dio. Conversation continues. Thanks for staying tuned. At the start of the show today, I mentioned that I heard a most horrific tale of horrifying experience of a certain individual, and it raises very many questions, very pertinent, serious questions as to the issue of safety, especially being perpetrated or lack of safety, depends on perspective, and the being perpetrated by individuals that are supposed to be helping ensure safety in our society. And we've had conversations, discussions on the nefarious, even criminal activities, even murderous in some cases, of some of these persons, and how that they are still allowed to fester in our society, and it doesn't appear that something very concrete is being done, especially about the River State government, at least as regards what the state can manage or handle state-wise. There are other elements of this conversation that have to do with a federal agency, and that's the federal government responsibility, which is also key, by the way. They need to address that. But without further ado, I'll simply introduce my guest right now. I've got in the studio with me Kelly Oni. Kelly Oni is a driver with one of the online cab hailing services in River State in Port Harcourt. I believe precisely is a boat driver. Kelly, good evening to you. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Good evening, Dio.
And I'd like to start by appreciating you and thanking you for your courage to come on the show and have this conversation, because I've been doing this for a while, and I imagine that several other persons, for varying reasons, largely born on their being scared or afraid, would not want to come on the show to have this conversation. So I do thank you for that. Thank you very much once again.
I'm pleased. Thank you.
So let's get right to it then. You're a boat driver.
Yes, I am.
Great. So you had a very unfortunate experience last night, or more precisely, very early this morning.
Yeah.
Could you narrate your ordeal and go over what happened once again?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Like has been said, my name is Kelly Oni, and I'm a boat driver here in Port Harcourt. Okay. Earlier, at about 2:59 a.m. this morning, I got a ride as usual, because I do more of the night shifts than the day shifts.
Why do you prefer the night shift?
Well, the night shifts is quite peaceful when you walk. Less traffic, more rides coming in. Unlike the daytime, not everybody wants to go out, and even if they want to do, not everybody wants to book a ride and go out. But then if it's in the evening, we have so many activities, social activities going on. People want to club, people want to, wine a little. So that makes the night's life easy.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so at about 2:59 a.m. this morning, I got a ride from a client as usual, and he was somewhere around the Eliopopodu area. And I was just about somewhere around Ubikwe as is.
Eliopopodu is where exactly?
Somewhere close to Rupoku area.
Okay.
It's more like the community between this side of SAS Road and Rupoko.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, so when I got the ride, initially I wanted to decline, but the client sounded very stranded, and he really wanted to go into town to get something. So I said, okay, no problem if you want to. He was even saying I was going to take him there and bring him back. So in the end, I got to go. Now, the community can take a shortcut from the SAS Road towards the connection. Now, just about a kilometer away from SAS Road, you have the OSPAC junction around there. You have all them, their college shrine, more like their camp around that place. And you also have their signpost to show that this is the OSPAC junction.
How did you identify them as OSPAC?
Well, they have their uniforms. They have all them accessories they put on to show that this is. And then the very place where the whole incident happened, you have their camp around there, and then a very big signpost.
They have a signpost?
Yeah, they have a signpost.
So they're always there? It wasn't just yesterday or early this morning?
Yeah, they're always there. That's their base.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I got to that point, and there was actually a car in front of me. And when the car zoomed off, the person who was actually leading this whole thing, I don't know if I'm permitted to call it the robbery.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so he was actually, holding a double barrel rifle and a little pistol in his hand. And he said the person who just drove off is a policeman and he's actually waiting in front for whatever that's going to happen now. And I'm like, what? He said that I am one of the ritualists that roams around the area by this time of the night to kill people. And I said, I am not a ritualist. I am actually a boat driver. So I had an evidence, which is my application. I was actually showing him that I was actually going to pick a client up at this time of the day or night rather. Then he said, oh, okay, we've heard all those kind of stories before, but right now you're going to come down because we just got a ritualist. And I saw some other guys that were dressed in boxers, no singlets, no shirts, and they were tied. And he claimed that those were the guys that we caught to go and do our rituals. And I said, I am not a ritualist. So that was where the whole thing started. When I was now, while I was talking with him, my phone began to ring. My client was calling because I had delayed a little. He wanted to know what was happening. So I said, okay, my client is calling. Can I just pick the call and, tell him where I am? He said, oh, I want to call my other persons. So he seized the phone straight into his pocket. That was where the robbery started. And then some other guys were actually coming. I don't know where they were coming from, where they were going to, but they were also coming from somewhere in the community. So he sort of stopped them.
Were they walking?
Yeah, they were working.
Okay.
So he stopped them, collected their phones and wallets. And I was wondering, why would he want to do that? Beside him was another OSPAC guy, dressed in their attire as well, carrying one of their pots on his head. I don't know, more like their shrine pots. That was what he was carrying on his head. And another one was standing on his left-hand side, having machetes in his hand, while he was the one with the gun. And he was really ready to kill. So I told him, I said, please, I don't know what you're talking about. Just let me go. Now, to get to somewhere, he said he was going to put some of the proclaimed or claimed ritualist patients whatsoever in the car. And I said, no, you're not going to do that. This car is a company car. I am going to pick a client. You can't do that. That was when he pointed the gun at me. While I thought he was still joking, he cocked his gun and shot one in the air. And I'm like, what's going on? Where have I gone wrong? He said I should move this car. So he commanded the one that was carrying the pots to sit in front with me. So that one sat in front with me. And there are consequences for that pot to be in somebody's house or somebody's car. Should they bring that pot? It's more like, I don't know they know what it signifies.
How did you know what it signifies?
Before the entire incident came to an end, there were some persons that came out from the community, but that later towards that came for rescue. So they were saying that for that pot to be in my car, it's more like some sort of implication. It has some sort of spiritual meaning from them.
Okay, all right, go on. So the guy with the boat gets in the front seat next to you.
Yeah, and then he sat at the back. And one of the guys that he collected their phones and wallet, he had asked the guy to sit at the back as well. So he commanded me to keep driving. And I said to where? He said I should keep going. I should not ask him any question. So while we were moving, he saw at every given point when he sees anybody walking on the road, be you male, be you female, he comes down and he takes their phones from them. And I'm wondering, why will an OSPAC man be doing this? You're supposed to be meant for security.
In what direction were you driving?
We were driving still deep down into the community.
Okay.
Okay, so he said...
Which community, pardon me?
Elipokwadu.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so he kept collecting, at least in between, he collected like 2% phones. So at some point, I started searching my car, the pigeonhole beside the driver. That's where I keep cash for customers that pay cash. So he was, searching the car. I had like 9,000 naira in there. So by the time he dipped his hand, he just poured everything and money came out. So I gathered the money. He said the money was ritualist money. I should give it to him. I said, if it is ritualist money, why would you want to collect it? This money is the money I have worked. So I was now holding on to that one when he brought out the pistol and broke my head. He said, I'm holding on to ritualist money. If it is ritualist money, why do you want to collect it? So he commanded me to keep driving. At that point, I was seriously bleeding. And I said, this is blood on my head. He said, I've not started. That the next point would just be me leaving this world. And I said, okay. So at that point, filled with fear, I had to do everything he was saying because he's the one with the gun. He's the one with guns, not with the gun. So we're now moving. And then one other guy that we saw ahead was actually one of the vigilantes in the area. Why they mounted at their own junction? So in between, they had vigilante guys that were actually also guiding these small corners. So one of them was just, I think he was on a patrol or something. He saw the guy and he was like, okay, so you're one of the ritualists that is, assisting this man. The guy said, I am one of the vigilantes in this community. You should know me. So he commanded the guy to enter the car. He even commanded me to open the boot so the guy should go and enter. The guy said he's not entering. So he commanded that one that was having the machete in his hand to hit the guy. And then the one with the pot came outside and they started doing some incantation. I don't know. They just knew the reason why they were doing incantations. And then after the whole incantation, that was when this other guy got angry and said, you can't be, assaulting a fellow security personnel like me. So he wanted to fight back. That was when he used the rifle on his head. Like, he broke his head. The blood spilled first on my glass, and the next thing started gushing. Like, it gushed. Mr. Dyer, the blood that gushed out from that guy's head is enough to save a patient's life in the hospital. So when he did that, that one succumbed because he was the one with the guns. So we're all obeying that gun we saw with him, because I don't know what will happen if anyone should fight back at him. So that guy entered. We went front, elite.
How many people were in the vehicle now?
Now, the guy with the pots at the front,
Okay.
the first guy he took with us,
Yes.
the one with the machete, and now this other person.
That makes 5 people in all?
That plus him, that's 5.
Okay.
So now, when he went to the front, he now commanded me to open the boots finally. So any other person he carries, he's going to put them in the boots.
So there were 4 people in the back, aren't there?
Yeah, 4 persons.
The guy with the pot in front.
In front, yes.
Then that makes 6 in all in the vehicle.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
So we moved and 2 other vigilante guys came. So those ones were with their full regalia. You could just know that they were vigilante guys with their torchlights, with their machetes and everything. And he said, okay, I'll calm down. Now, before that time, there was actually this truck that was coming. The truck came and he stopped the truck. Of course, the truck was too high for him to climb alone with his 2 guns. And he commanded the driver to come down. The driver came. The driver was saying, you should know me. I stay in this area. I pass every time, every now and then. So he now saw the guy that he broke his head. He said, even this guy is also a vigilante. Why would you do this to him? So he commanded the driver to go away. If he doesn't go, then whatever he sees, he should take. That was how that one drove away. Now, that one drove away, then did a U-turn to go back to where he was coming from. Now, what he now did was to go and gather some persons to come back to that very spot, because that was where the whole crossfire happened. In the end, he commanded those 2 guys to enter the booth. They said they were not entering. He seized, at gunpoint, he seized their machetes because that was their weapon. He seized it, and then he told them to enter. They said they were not entering. So he was wearing this dark shade anyway. One of them now looked at him very well and said, you are even staying next to my compound. So because you are OSPAC, you feel you just have this, power to just do people. So at some point, one just, smartly went to his back and held the rifle in his hand. Now, he wanted to make use of the pistol that night. In the course of doing that, the other one held that pistol. So when that happened, the guy that he broke his head came down and held him in the neck and was trying to strangle him. So there was no life in him again, or there was no strength in him again. He let go of the guns he was holding. And then when he saw that the guns had left him, he ran away. He ran. The night was so dark. So now, unknown to him, the truckman that did a U-turn to go had already called some persons. The prisoners that he was supposed to keep in the prison were the same person that came that yesterday with the truck driver and some other guys that he stole from that yesterday. So we had so many boys coming around. So they ran towards him. So he changed direction and everybody was now running after him. But I didn't go after him. I was in my car because if the car disappears, I don't know what I'm going to say. So the caught him that yesterday, and then they started calling their commander. I think it was just 3 of them that was on patrol that yesterday. I mean, the OSPAC guys, the 3 of them, they were on patrol yesterday. The other 2 said at some point they said that they didn't know what the guy did to them, whether he used voodoo on them or something.
Who were they telling this to?
They were telling it to their commander.
Oh, the OSPAC commander showed up eventually?
Yes, they called him. He was called.
Okay.
So he came out with his entourage, and they came that yesterday. And I don't know. So in a bit to make it look like everything happened from my own end, because I was the one with the car. I was the one with, a flashy car. So automatically I am the ritualist. He scattered the shrine. They have these so many bottles to show that this is an OSPAC area, and their shrine, and he scattered everywhere, freed some of the prisoners, and tied them and kept them on the ground like I was going to use them for rituals. So that yesterday night, there was so many things happening. So he was caught eventually, tied him on the ground. But I knew that something was wrong, because it's more like you guys sent him. I know how the OSPAC people deal with criminals when they catch them at the instance. It's more like they just start drilling the person instantly. But yesterday, something was not right. They removed all of his clothes, yes, tied him, yes, but then they were doing nothing to him. He was only telling him, and this is how your brother died. Eventually, you're going to die in the same way. Now, the OSPAC that I know initially, they don't waste time in, permit me to use the word, drilling, you know.
All right, so let's move ahead. This person was apprehended. The OSPAC commander came on. Then what happened next? Especially was he'd taken your phone earlier. So what happened with your phone that he'd taken and your vehicle?
Okay, so the commander said nothing about my phone. He said nothing about even the blood that was spilling out of 2 persons' head. He was only concerned about the guy he had caught. And my client was like, okay, please, I still want to go to.
How did you talk to your client? Because the phone was with the OSPAC robber.
Okay, I missed the part.
Okay.
The client saying that I'd wasted so much time, because when a client book a boat and the driver accepts the ride, on his way coming, the client can actually monitor his movements to know, okay, he has left point A to point B. Okay, so he saw that, okay, these persons are actually closer to where I am. So he had to walk down to where we were. That's yesterday, or sorry, this morning. He had to walk down. So when he walked down, he was also apprehended.
Okay.
He was also apprehended. So collected his phone, removed his shirt and every other thing. I think in the end, this guy was actually holding like 6-7 persons at random. He was holding everybody still because he had 2 guns on him. So by the time he was apprehended, they just tied him and left him there. So we drove to Rumola because the client was still saying, please take me to where I want to go to. I need to get what I want to get. We drove to Rumola. Coming back, the area was dried up.
Oh, after all of this, you still took the client to his destination?
I did take the client to his destination. Yes,
so the OSPAC commander let you go with your car?
Yes, he did.
And what happened to the others?
He didn't even say anything. He said nothing. He didn't even do anything. He didn't even ask me my name. He didn't even ask me where I was coming from, where I was going to. He only was concerned about the guy. And everybody knew, as in, we were even hearing some side talks that he was going to free the guy. But now, driving to Rumola from that area and back did not even take us up to even 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, everywhere was as if nothing happened.
So that's what happened.
That's what happened
early this morning.
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you or have you informed the police?
I haven't informed the police.
Do you have a reason for that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, we'll go for a commercial break now. When we return, we'll hear that reason. And of course, we'll get your take as well on this most unfortunate incident. It will stay tuned. Hard Facts returns in a bit.
keeping up with political issues and developments around you only on Nigeria Info.
And now, Hard Facts. Hard Facts with Dio.
Welcome back. Still Hard Facts to 91.3 Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt. I'm Dio. 27 minutes to go before 5 o'clock. We've got the news update at 5. But for the moment, I still got Kelly Oni, a boat driver here in Port Harcourt in the studio. And just a while ago before the break, he narrated a horrifying experience that he had at the hands of some OSPAC members around the
Elikpopodu
area. Kelly, thanks for coming back to the show once again.
Thank you very much.
So, you had a very nasty experience. One lots of persons hear about, but hope they never are at the heart or at the center of it. But that happened to you, and one would think that after experiencing that, you would want to report the matter to the security agencies, especially the police. And that's why I asked the question earlier, before the break, if you reported the matter to the police. You said no. I asked if you have a reason. You said yes. So might you care to share your reason for not reporting this crime against you to the police?
Okay, exactly 2 weeks ago, that was 2 Tuesdays ago, I got this client that booked me from 12 a.m. in the morning till about 10. That's like 10 hours ride. So initially we agreed it was supposed to be 3,000 naira per hour since it's a ninth ride. But then I broke it down for like 2,400 for him, and he agreed. So he was supposed to give me an advance, but he didn't. Now, to cut the long story short, by 10 a.m. we're already at his place, somewhere around the neighborhood. And when it was time to pay, he said he couldn't do transfer. He had some cash inside. I said, okay, go bring the cash.
What neighborhood was that?
He stays in Alakaya.
Okay.
Okay, so he said he had some cash inside. I said, okay, go bring the cash. But then, while we're taking the ride all through the night, he gave me his phone for security reasons to hold for him. I said, okay, fine. So I was still with the phone that morning. I said, okay, before I give you back the phone, to be sure you don't run away, go and get me the money. He went inside, he came out, he said the money on him was not up to the amount he was supposed to give me, which is about 24,000. And I said, okay, so what do we do? He said, okay, he wants to now do a transfer. He did transfer like twice, he didn't go. And he said, okay, I should just wait a bit. Now, one thing led to another. You're wasting my time, I need to go. That was when he got angry and said I had no rights to talk to him that way. So we started arguing, and the next thing I saw, he went inside to get a knife. And he said if I don't take time, he was going to stab me to death. So at that point, I had to call one of my colleagues. His name is Kingsley. I called Kingsley. I said, Kingsley, please come around. I don't know what this young man is saying, because he was the closest person to me. So Kingsley drove in like 5 minutes later, and Kingsley was not challenging him, saying you must pay that money. So at some points, I still have, you see this here? That's the knife, the edge of the knife.
Okay.
Yeah, he used it on me that day while I was trying to protect Kingsley so he doesn't stab the young man to death, because that one he has a pregnant wife at home. So Kingsley got angry, went to the Choba division to go and get the police. So they came in their numbers. When they came, the guy was already, he had broken my security grip, and he went inside to lock himself inside. And his phone was already with him, because in the process, while he said he wanted to do transfer, I gave him the phone. So the police came and spent 30 minutes outside trying to get him to open the door from the inside, because they can't break into his house. So after like 30 minutes, the people in the compound started calling the caretaker so he could give the police permission to break the door down, which he eventually did. Gave them the permission, they broke the door down, and they went inside. After so many fights with the police, they eventually handcuffed him and took him to the station. Now, this is why I didn't go to the police this time around, because that day we were at the station and they made me write statements. They also made him write statements. Now, first, the police said, they asked me how much. I said the bill is 24,000. Said, okay, no problem. Now you're going to charge him higher. Normally, how much are you supposed to charge him? I said 3,035. Okay, if it's 3.5, that's 35,000 naira in 10 hours. So that's what you're going to put on statement. I said, yes, okay, I'll do that. And I did. And the next thing, they said, okay, for this whole thing to, have an effect, to have weight, I need to pay for entry. And I said, as it is, I don't have money on me. You have to help me. I don't have any money. All through the night, I bought fuel worth 5,000 to work for this guy. And I don't have anything. Even if I go back home, now the people I have at home will have nothing to eat. Can you please just help me? This is what will happen. If you recover the money, we're going to split it 50-50. You take half of the money and I take half of the money. Even if it doesn't work, they said it won't work that way. I have to still pay for entry. But I don't have money on me. I can't be running around looking for money. How much is this money? 2,000 naira. At that time, I didn't have 2,000 naira to pay in for entry. Now, they made me, okay, in the end, I divided the money into 3 parts. And I said, okay, just take 2 and I'll take 1 part when you recover the money from the guy, because they said they were going to recover the money within 24 hours. So in my presence, the guy was locked, yes. But then they said, even as he was still locked, I have no case if I don't pay 2,000 naira for entry. I said, okay, now, say you want to collect 35,000, yes. Even if it's 10,000 naira, give to me for working all through the night. You can take the remaining 25,000. That was when the IPO, by name, Mr. Okolo Kingsley, Sergeant Okolo Kingsley, said, okay, no problem, that will happen. Then he told me to go home, that I should not worry, the next day the money will be recovered. I even spoke with the guys. It was later I got to know that the guy had a girl that gave birth to a child for him. So the girl called in that day, and I said, it is no longer in my hands, except you want to talk to the police and make them understand why he should be freed. She said, okay, no problem. So I went home that day. I even called 2 of the policemen. Mr. Okolo is from Benin, Edo State. Now, 2 of the policemen also came to do the arrest. We're also from Edo State. I am from Edo State too. So I spoke with them and I said, please try and understand, because they were asking for money for fuel. And I said, I don't have. You guys have done a wonderful job. But if this money is recovered, this is how much I'm going to give to you. They said, okay, fine, well, you can go. The next morning, I woke up, and at about 8 a.m. in the morning of Wednesday, I said, okay, I called in and I said, Sergeant Okolo, good morning. What has happened so far? I want to know what has gone so far. He started shouting at me. He said, why will I even have the mind to call his number? Yesterday, did I make any entry? Did I pay for money? But I wrote a statement down that you wanted me to write, and you made the entry. So why are you shouting at me now? I did not come on 2,000. I did not pay. So and I said, so now I helped you to arrest somebody. This guy is not just he's not just an ordinary guy. Looking at him, that guy is a cultist. He had so many tattoos on his body.
How do you know he's a cultist?
That's very on that Tuesday he was making some calls that day, because he heard that Kingsley had run to the Chuba division, so he was making some calls to call in some of his guys, and he was using some slangs, some cultism slangs and the rest of them. And he was also telling me, trying to make me understand the person he is, his position in cultism and all that. So I told the police, this is what is happening. And looking at him too, like, he's into this online theft and the rest of them.
How do you know that?
While we were at GRA, because that was where the whole roaming was, so he had some of his friends come around. And, because I was always with him to ensure that he doesn't run away, because some of them, you work for them, in the end, you just, before you know what's happening, they disappeared. It happens virtually every day. Okay, so I had overheard them discuss about some sort of plots that they were having that is not yet.
Okay, all right, go on.
Okay, so I told him, I said, this guy is a dangerous person, and I live in Alakaya. This guy stays in Alakaya. If anything should happen to me, my blood will be on your head, because this guy is a dangerous person. For him to have even carried knife, broad daylight, to want to stab me to death, you should know that he's dangerous. He said that's not his business. I should not call him again. I should never call him again. If I call him again, he will arrest me. In fact, I'm the suspect if I call him again. That was how Sergeant Okolo Kingsley blocked me till today. And for the fear of not wanting to be in their cell for not doing anything, because these things happen virtually every day. I didn't go there again. The other, one of the policemen that did the arrest, I called him, and he said, okay, he was going to talk to him. So today, Mr. Dayo, I've heard nothing about that case, and that was how he died a natural death.
So this is why you decided to not go to the police to report this latest matter?
Yes.
For the OSPAC fellows?
Yes.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the story thus far? Maybe in about 30 seconds or a minute. Anything else you'd like to add?
Okay. This will go to my fellow boat drivers. I want to say that the job we do is more like a hustle, but then we should try as much as possible to be very careful. If your mind is not allowing you to do something at a particular time, don't, because my mind was actually saying, this place you want to go to. I just said, let me do that one last ride before I go home. I was already on my way home, but I just said, let me do that one last ride. I had complications in my mind, but I still ignored it and went for it.
All right. The lines are open right now. You got any comments, thoughts on the conversation thus far? Let's hear it. Call 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, or 0817 923 0007. We're live on facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH. WhatsApp is on 0809 030 6416. We're also live on YouTube, by the way. Just search for Nigeria Info PH on YouTube. Let's take Francis now. Francis calls in from OGRA. Hello, Francis. Go on.
Yes, the story is such a pathetic story to listen to. It's unfortunate that that's where we live. That's the society we find ourselves today. But I will urge him, I will also urge you, Dayo. I'm sure you must have seen the article written by Peter Enahoro, How to Be a Nigerian. If you read that, and if he also reads that, I'm very certain he will know that, unfortunately, that's what our society has become. A young man who is struggling to eke out living, this is how he ended up. If they had even killed him, I'm certain this is also what will come out of it. Nothing will obviously come out of it. But I urge everyone to read that article by Peter Enahoro that says How to Be a Nigerian. It's unfortunate.
All right, Francis, we've got Gift on the line. Hello, Gift. You're welcome. Go on.
Good evening to you, Mr. Adedayo.
Go ahead.
And good evening to the guest.
Good evening.
Well, in as much as unfortunate situation, there will be the glory on your behalf that you are able to scale through at the end of the day. But I think he should have also made some other complaints formally. Yes, the police might not be your friend in this case, based on what you just narrated. But the question is, now you got injured, who is supposed to take care of the expenses? That is one. And two, your vehicle was not damaged. But you are fortunate today doesn't mean some other person might be unfortunate tomorrow, because he might do it again. I'm talking about the vigilante person. And again, the last question I want to ask you, with the trauma you went through, with your head broken, why did you still go on that last trip, the one you made to Rumola and back? Thank you very much.
Right, before you respond to that, let's take Mary from Ilolo. Mary, you're welcome. Please go ahead. Hello, Mary. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Go ahead, please.
I want to ask, since you have reported this matter right now, we now see how callous our Nigerian police is, because this is really disheartening. See why even when you have a good case, you can't even go to the police because of the lack of experience you do. I was asked if this can be reported, like to the police, by him through this Nigerian Info platform, so that it could have a better chance.
Oh, Mary, Nigeria Info is not an agency or a subsidiary of the police. So if any Nigerian wants to make a report to the Nigerian police, or anybody for that matter, you have to go to the police directly. Well, Mary, great to hear from you, though. So I'd like you to respond to the question that Gift asked. Why did you bother to go on that trip eventually, after all that had transpired?
Okay, sad to hear. But then, the job we do as boat drivers, our duty is to transport customers from where they are to where they want to be. Now, in the whole of the event, he said he needed food for himself and his mom that morning. They, whether they said they went through some sort of meeting or something overnight, and hunger is knocking at the door, and he said he wanted food. And I said, okay, no problem. He said he would also like to buy something from a pharmacy, drug for the mom from a pharmacy. So he was even pleading, because I told him after this whole thing, me, I'm going home. Now my phone cannot be recovered. Well, now I can't ask you to pay for it. The OSPAC is not even saying anything concerning it, so it's all on me. But for the sake of your mom, food and drugs, all right, let's go. Because as at that time, we still had openings in GRA where we could just buy things and come back. That was the singular reason why I went out with him.
All right, we've got Matthew on the line. Matthew, welcome. Go on.
Hello, good evening, Dad.
Go ahead.
Actually, this work with this guy, what this guy just narrated was so pathetic. I'm a boat driver. So these are things we normally see. Sometimes they want to beat you, and they will tell you, imagine somebody is booking you that is going to 93.4, 93.2. He will take you and enter some creek that even the description is saying no location. And they'll tell you, begin to go. And sometimes you want to end the person with words that will stress you. So you will look at the thing and you'll be angry. The only thing, we are just taking risks. I'm believing God that one day we'll leave this job. Because honestly, we are taking risks that it just has to do with life and death. So the company just have to do something about it.
All right, Matthew. I thought it was done. Lastly, great to hear from you though. Let's see, via Facebook, Gogo Uzam's Friday goes, the risk boat drivers are going through these days isn't funny. One was nearly killed with his car taken in River State University Faculty of Environmental Science the early hours. This year, something really needs to be done due to the good services that they render. And via WhatsApp, dear God in heaven, so scared of this country right now. This is what happened when we recruit people without proper background checks into our security. This is what you get when our security agencies are corrupt and unreliable. God help us in this country. Good evening, Don. This is extremely atrocious and unfortunate. My happiness is that his life was not lost. Indeed, God intervened on his behalf. Alozie King Chigozie said that. Alright, I still got a few. Okay, let's take Emmanuel first off, and I'll ask you a few more questions. So, Emmanuel, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dayo, good evening.
Go ahead.
From the two scenarios, it means that there is danger looming because the first case is not closed out and the second case is not reported. So I will suggest whether it's possible for the man that is in your studio to report this matter to the Human Rights Unit of the MDA, Port Harcourt here, so that if they intervene, that money that they're supposed to recover from that guy who hired him on the boat service will still be recovered. And those police officers will be identified. They can't take away the money. Now, the other vigilante too, that arrested so many and was wearing gun and threatening people to the extent that somebody was shot, which they don't have right to do that, will also be arrested by the police. So that is just my suggestion, whether it should be encouraged to report the matter to the Human Rights Unit of the Nigerian Bar Association, Port Harcourt.
All right, Amalo, glad to hear from you as well. Let's start with that. Is that something you might want to consider? Besides the NBA, you have other human rights groups. You have the Human Rights Commission. You have the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. You have quite a few of them. Is that something you might want to explore?
This is my 33 years in this life, and I've lived every single day of it in this country, and I've heard, I've seen, I've experienced things, and sometimes close to 90% of everything I've seen, heard, and witnessed never went well. Okay, this is going to take one step or the other, and another step, and another step, and in the end, I might just be some, I don't know, case that everybody would just want to read, and tomorrow the book is closed. So I don't think I'll want to, but I'm sure that we have these same agencies listening to this show right now, and if they want to, well, they can still take the matter up from there. I am not the only one this has happened to. We have so many other persons, but then if they are hearing it now and they know their procedures, then they can do something.
But there's only so much that they can do. The person who's the victim also has to have an interest in addressing and redressing the matter as well. However, with this experience, very quick question, maybe the final question I'll ask you. While you were working at night on your boat trips, did you ever feel safe? And since this incident has happened, are you still working at night?
Well, I will still work at night because the fact that one finger dipped in oil does not condemn the rest of the fingers. I'm saying so because every other night I've not had any reason to be scared. I've not had any reason to be scared because there are places that also enter. You just have the vigilante guys around. These vigilante guys are actually doing a good job, and I want to use this opportunity to, thank them so much for the good job they are doing. And some of them stay out late till like 4:30, 5 a.m. in the morning before they return back to their houses. But I just think that some inner checks should be done by the security agencies on these OSPAC guys, especially because they are the ones with the weapons.
Finally, Kelly, why did you come on the show today to have this conversation?
Okay, I don't know if I should start with how I got here.
No, just 30 seconds. Why did you decide to, not how, why did you decide to come on the show?
I think that Nigeria should really know what's going on in the background. The people who are meant to actually guide us are the ones indirectly fishing on our flesh. They are feeding on our flesh, rather. So they should know what's going on.
Kalioni, thanks for coming by. I wish circumstances for meeting you were different. I'm glad you're still with us, by the way, and I wish you and your family and all the seals the very best.
Thank you very much.
Now, commercial break. We got news update for the hour at 5 o'clock. Discussions continue afterwards. Ndume no longer doesn't want to be a shorty no more. More on that with Barrister Wokocha. Please stay with us.